Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. I wasn't even going to make a video today. I was going to just not make a video. But I saw this, and when I saw it, I thought, do you know what? The lack of self-awareness here is more than I've ever experienced in my life, and I just had to share it with you, right? This is just, well, you don't need me to tell you who it is. I'm sure you know who it is. There's a Ukrainian badge under his hand there because he wants you to know that he hashtag stands with Ukraine. In name only, of course. I mean, not figuratively. He isn't going over there to risk his life. He'll spend your money, but he won't risk his life. But he hashtag stands with Ukraine. So he's made a statement here to a group of adoring people, and it lacks self-awareness to a point where it's going to leave you dumbfounded, right? So this is him talking about authoritarianism, yes, and that's his words. He's using that and how bad it is, and misinformation and disinformation, right? I think he starts saying that when he realizes, I think, like, whatever's left of his humanity kind of twigged, and then immediately he was trying to fit an excuse into his diatribe, essentially. So it's probably not going to be a long video. This clip's only 1 minute, but we'll play it and then I'll give you some thoughts regarding it. So we'll jump into the video now. If you haven't yet though, please like the video, subscribe to the Hoggcast, hit the notification bell, and share the video around if you find this video informative. I am shadow banned and deboosted because I am the underdog and we are conservative commentators. Also have a membership scheme which you can join. There's a join button down below and a link in the description. I have 9 amazing, beautiful members who honour and humble me that they value the Hoggcast enough to become a YouTube channel member. So that's pretty cool. You can be member 10 if you so choose, but of course you don't have to. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we'll have a quick look through this. It's only 1 minute long, and then we'll go back, we'll play it again, and then I'll stop it to make the points that I feel I need to make. And there's a lot of them.
And we've come to a moment that, quite frankly, we've seen coming over the past years. And we've talked about it in the news, not just about Ukraine, but about democracies around the world, that we see a bit of a slippage in our democracies. Countries turning towards slightly more authoritarian leaders. Countries allowing increasing misinformation and disinformation to be shared on social media, turning people against the values and the principles of democracies that are so strong. And that slippage over the years unfortunately emboldened Putin and made him think that he could get away with this, that he could get away with it in Ukraine.
There's so much wrong with that statement. It's amazing that this is the representative of Canada itself. In this 56-second long clip, the amount of doublethink, hypocrisy, lack of self-awareness, and disinformation itself, because the people who always wax lyrical about, oh, no, you know, it's disinformation, are always the ones who are the purveyors of it. And he has managed, this is really a good achievement. I'm actually impressed by this. He's managed to fit all of that in, condense it all down to 56 seconds. I've got to applaud it. That is an achievement. I've never seen a globalist, even Joe Biden. I've never seen Joe Biden do that in 56 seconds. So let's go back now. We'll play it again. And even though it's only 56 seconds, there's so much wrong with what he said. I just need to get it out of my system. Yeah, so we'll do that now.
We've come to a moment that, quite frankly, we've seen coming over the past years. And we've talked about it in the news, not just about Ukraine, but about democracies around the world, that we see a bit of a slippage in our democracies. Countries turning towards slightly more authoritarian leaders. Countries...
I rest my case.
allowing increasing misinformation and disinformation to be shared on social media, turning people against the values and the principles of democracies that are so strong.
So it's double think. He's just contradicted himself, and that's before we get to the lack of self-awareness. This is probably one of the most authoritarian, evil and spiteful and corrupt governments in the so-called Western democracies. Yeah, look what he did to the truckers, right? Ukraine, right, that's a real crisis. Yeah, that's when wartime measures really need to be enforced. What you did is you crushed the people, in this case the truckers, who bring you your double caramel latte, your Starbucks and your quinoa and all the other stuff the Trudeau type people of the world eat and drink at your taxpayers' expense. But then he says about disinformation and misinformation. Have you noticed that these two words are only ever used by certain people, and as if it's like a coincidence, they only ever seem to be used by the people who are almost universally distrusted by the public? You notice how the public never do it themselves. The public say, oh no, I don't believe him, I think he's a liar, so on and so on. They never use those two words, misinformation, disinformation. If you asked Trudeau, give us a definition of the difference between the two, he wouldn't be able to answer. But as I say, this is double think. So out the one side, he's criticising authoritarian leaders, and then immediately after, he pivots and says that Western democracies are, quote, allowing misinformation and disinformation. Who gets to decide what is misinformation and disinformation? You, Justin Trudeau? Who wants Justin Trudeau or the BBC, MSNBC, CNN telling other people what disinformation is? Because the general public, from our point of view, the chief perpetrator when it comes to misinformation and disinformation is these people, right? This globalist set, yeah? So he's criticising authoritarian leaders not even a month after one of the most disgusting crackdowns on a group of ordinary Canadians, people who were considered to be essential workers up until the moment that they dared disagree with your mandates. Mandates which, by the way, don't work. Everyone knows they don't work. And when you were crushing your own truckers, right, territories in Canada were also repealing the mandates. But you couldn't stop. You smeared them. Talk about disinformation and misinformation. The things you and your lackeys, Trudeau, said about those truckers, that is misinformation and disinformation. And oh look, the people who wax lyrical about that are the people who are the chief purveyors of it, as I said. Yeah? It's the lack of self-awareness that bothers me. You want to know why Putin did what he did now? Just look at this guy. Look. This is the thing with globalist leaders. They think you are stupid. That's the thing you need to understand first. That's the alpha and the omega, yeah? They think you're stupid. The only reason he's saying this is because he doesn't actually think you can remember back that far. He thinks that you're like with left-wing NPCs. He thinks that your opinions and your beliefs change with whatever you see on the cable talking head guys, yeah? CNN, MSNBC, those type of people, right? He doesn't understand that as conservatives, we have a long-term memory, pattern recognition, yeah, critical thinking skills, and common sense. So what do we make of it? When we see this, you see him saying this with just no self-awareness at all. The only analogy I could give you is like, imagine if a camera crew went into a prison, and we're talking about the worst type of prisoners. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. You know, like the worst of the worst, the people who do, like men who do things to innocent people, the innocents. I'm sure you know what I mean. And then he starts, in front of the camera, he starts waxing lyrical about, these people who go to prison, they're all a bunch of scumbags. And like, he's in the prison himself, yeah? And he's been filmed saying this, and he said, oh, these people who go to prison, surely you would stop and you would say to yourself, well, hang on a minute. You're in prison. What are you talking about? Yeah? That's what I see. That's what a lot of people, I think, see when they see this. I mean, just look at him. Honestly, Canada, are you really proud that this is your representative?
And that slippage over the years.
There's the word slippage. What? This is the thing with the globalists. The words they use, the buzzwords, they never... It's always something that's vague. They always choose buzzwords that can mean 1,000 different things. The reason why they do that is because, as you know, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this, the woke left, they're always changing goalposts. Everything has to be kept as vague as possible, so they can come back to you and say, well, when I said slippage, I meant this. Well, slippage means this. Yeah? That's twice he's used that saying, slippage.
Years, unfortunately, emboldened Putin and made him think that he could get away with this.
So he seems to be equating the rise of authoritarianism in the West and the rise of misinformation and disinformation as something that emboldened Putin. So, Justin Trudeau, if you were seen on the world stage being extremely authoritarian towards your own people, crushing the truckers under your undeserving boot. I even hate using phrases like that when discussing such an effeminate man, yeah. But of course he didn't do it himself, he got actual men to do it, yeah, to crush the truckers, right? So he's equating that, he's equating the rise of authoritarianism in the West with encouraging Putin. So what he's essentially said to anyone with a brain is that he encouraged Putin. Essentially, that is essentially what he said. This is the thing with these globalists. You have to bring like 15 dictionaries full of meanings and possible meanings and tactics to see where the manipulations come. You can't just listen to them and accept what they say on face value, because nothing they say has any value. It's always a misnomer. It's a secret meaning. Yeah? It's a Freudian slip, right? And all of these different things. It's oh, well, I've already said it. But look, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.